Hey YouTube, how the heck are we doing? Foul Play here, back for the fifth and final match of this Pauper League. Currently 2-2 after just slapping burn around the place with the back of our hand. Opponent on the play, winning the die roll, keeping 7. This looks like a bit of a rubbish hand. We do have access to good mana. We do have access to creatures. I guess there's an argument to keep it depending on what they're on. Alright, whatever. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to keep it. And Abundant Growth plus our draw steps hopefully cantrips us to something useful. Dismal Backwater, so potentially Dimir control. Alright, Throwdown, Scout, pass. Quick check on Dimir control, and they don't normally run Dismal Backwater unless this is like a budget-ish list or something of that description. I'm not entirely sure. So we'll throw down Abundant Growth, draw a card, see if we can find Cartouche. Don't find Cartouche. Alright, well, I guess we'll go in on Bogle with the Rancor here. Opponent also missed a land drop. Important information. Brainstorm off the top. They choose to Brainstorm instant speed rather than potentially making their land drop. Very questionable. I guess they could be doing the legacy thing of potentially holding Brainstorm for like 2 turns so they see like 4 cards deep instead of 3 cards deep. And so they're not drawing a card that they just put back on top. So mental note, milling, deep analysis, brainstorm. All right, so very likely just Dimir control and they're land screwed. They were land screwed. Misvault Bridge joining the party. Armadillo Cloak joining our party. So the list I've had a look at online does not run main deck edict. So I'm going to run off that information and throw down on my scout, attack in, playing into edict. I think it's reasonable to do so. Edict in the sideboard, obviously. Main deck Suffocating Fumes, so getting down Armadillo Cloak to play around Suffocating Fumes can potentially be a very, very wise move. Alright, opponent throws down the Thought Scour off the back of an island. Can they stabilize? Can they add to the board? Is the Tolarian Terror going to be coming, or a Gurmog Angler to add some description of resistance to the board state? Opponent thinks for a while, passes back to us. So at the minute I have a read on a potential counterspell from my opponent, we'll play around the counterspell by playing out our Armadillo Cloak, hoping to resolve Ancestral Mask, not this turn, but next turn. Alright, there's the counterspell. So we lose the less valuable aura in the context of our board state. We attack in for 5, and then we'll play around a Diabolic Edict effect by playing Slippery Bogles second main. So opponent adds an island. They're down to 8 life, 6 cards in hand. Is the creature going to join the party now? Looks like they're delving for Gurmog Angler. There he is. Chainer's Edict in the graveyard. So our opponent does have main deck Edictate. I must have missed that one entering the grave for our opponent. We'll play in a forest here to play around Spell Pierce. Look to throw down Ancestral Mask for a critical attack here. Weak to Counterspell. Can't do much about that though. Opponent concedes the match, and we're going to take this game 1 against Dimir control. So here, a standard Dimir control list. Obviously, we saw our opponent's land base was different, and they also had main deck Chainer's Edict. You can see Suffocating Fumes is hate, Chainer's Edict is hate, Shrivel is hate, and I guess Counter Magic as hate, so that's what we're going to keep in mind going into our sideboarding. Reminder as well, if you do find the video entertaining or informative, and want to see more action like it, please consider subscribing. So, Young Wolf going to be coming in from the sideboard. Really good in that Edict protection. I don't see anything in our sideboard else that we're going to want. Choice is how are we going to minus. So we're going to look to minus out on the Ancestral Mask or the Lotus Petal, given the fact that do we want to try and go long and grindy against nutrition decks, or do we want to be explosive? Let's maybe minus 1 Lotus Petal, and I'm going to minus 2 Ancestral Masks. Is there anything else we want to trim on? All right, let's make it 3 Ancestral Masks. Alright, this hand, no creatures. Gonna have to mulligan. Already down on attrition versus our opponent. They're keeping a 7-card hand. We see this 6. We've got very, very good 6. We're gonna go ahead and keep this one. Throwing the Armadillo Cloak, much to my dismay. And we've got a good mix of auras and spells here. And accidentally skip through our turn and it lags out and I can't cancel. Okay, well that is fucking awful. Alright, we're going to see if we can recover from that. Opponent, potentially with the counter magic. I guess we'll throw down Utopia Sprawl. Try to recover through Utopia Sprawl through playing multiple spells a turn. Opponent brainstorms in response. This Utopia Sprawl is going to be going on green given what's in hand. Our opponent's got more action. Mental note. All right, we get to resolve. Perfect. We'll take that, I guess. Could have been worse. Unexpected graveyard to the grave. Deep analysis to the grave as well. Opponent passes back to us after missing a land drop. We find Ethereal Armor. Gonna go ahead and throw down a Young Wolf into the mix. See how our opponent responds to Young Wolf. I think Bogles a little bit more valuable, especially with the cartouche in hand. Opponent doesn't have to think, runs out the counterspell. We don't have to think, we run out the Bogle plus cartouche. Alright, opponent misses another land drop, passing back to us. We find the forest. We'll forest Utopia Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl for white this time, I suppose. And we'll go ahead. Rancor, see how our opponent responds. Rancor resolves. Maybe they're holding Counterspell for the last card in hand. I'm unsure. Alright, they're holding Counterspell. They've got some pretty big gonads. We'll ditch the mana. We'll attack for 5. I'm still not unhappy about that because resolving Rancor means that we have Trample plus First Strike. We currently don't have 5 power though, so attacking into a fat chump blocker could be difficult. Opponent Thought Scours, ditching cards to the grave. Chainer's Edict, hitting the graveyard. Here he is, Fatty Gurmog, joining the party. Unhappy to see that Gurmog. Abundant Growth sees us a redraw. Alright, let's throw it down. See what we hit. Please be an aura, not a land source. Armadillo Cloak off the top, coming in clutch. Holy smokes, chat. Holy smokes, YouTube. I don't have a chat on this. I don't know why I said chat. Old muscle memory. Weak to spell pierce. Please, for the love of God, no spell pierce. Thought Scour from the opponent. Does it resolve? It resolves. Okay, we're going to get in there. We're going to attack. Wow, that was freaking terrifying. Damage to the opponent, gaining some life. Excellent stuff. Opponent plays Dismal Backwater, gaining life. Potentially another Gurmog coming down now. Sorry about that. My throat's a little bit dry. All right, so we draw 4s. That's not much help. Attacking for 6 again. Get it happening. Apply that pressure. No blocks from the opponent. All right, let's leave this one in hand. Pass back to our opponent. All right, opponent on turn 7, tanking. Currently 4 mana on the battlefield. Tapping some mana now. Dismal Backwater into Gurmog Angler. They're cashing in that graveyard. Goodbye to Chainer's Edict in the graveyard. Opponent 3 mana off of casting that one anyway. We find Glade Cover Scout, and that's a sad draw if I ever saw one. So what can we do potentially here? If we attack, they block. We can get 1 damage off to the side with a warrior token. And then we have to reload with Rancor on a creature, and it's not looking very good. So we're going to pass to our opponent, hope to draw an aura next turn. Maybe they attack out of turn as well, and we can try and get there from that. No land, no attacks from our opponent. I guess we'll break the stalemate. We'll play the land, but no, we're not going to attack. Passing back to our opponent. Opponent misses a land drop again. This makes me smell a freaking counterspell. So we draw Cartouche of Solidarity. I'm going to go ahead and not cast Cartouche of Solidarity. Let's pretend we drew Forest for turn. Hopefully we draw a different aura next turn. We can double aura. We can start attacking in. Opponent plays out Ponder, getting to look at the top 3 cards, choose whether or not to shuffle. They do not shuffle. They draw a card. Draw a card, playing the Misvault Bridge. Additionally, passing to us, we find Rancor. Oh gosh, this is so close to being good. We resolve either one of them, we're still not in a good enough spot to attack. I guess suppose if we resolve Cartouche, we get to 5 toughness, but that's still not quite enough. Let's pass to our opponent, look for a 3rd aura. Alright, opponent finally starting to hit these land drops. Dismal Backwater, going up to 6 life. Any other action? Alright, they pass to us, and what do we find? Oh, Armadillo Cloak. Don't mind if I do. It's still not like super ideal because our opponent can do stuff against us, but let's start extending and see what happens. Alright, Counterspell. How about this one? Got another Counterspell. If we resolve just Armadillo Cloak, that's still a pretty reasonable spot to be in. Okay, that one resolves. If we resolve Armadillo Cloak, we can start attacking. So, throw down. Oops, I floated an unnecessary green mana here. Oh, opponent with the Counterspell. So we're not going to resolve the second one. And we're not going to attack. No access to totem armor here, sadly enough. Alright, this is not a drill, people. So 2 counterspells in exile, 2 in the graveyard. None left in the main deck. This means that at this point we can resolve any aura that we want to resolve, really. Short of some other counterspell that I am not aware of that is not Spell Pierce. Obviously we get past Spell Pierce. Alright, so throw down. Abundant Growth, drawing a card. Critical turn. A hush falls across the crowd. And the crowd is disappointed. Alright, passing to our opponent. Dragging this one out some more. Alright, opponent. Suffocating Fumes. Destroying our creature. Chainer's Edict. Come on, man. After drawing half your deck, you finally saw a combination of 2 cards that got us. That's really annoying. They have enough to flash back Chainer's Edict. I mean, maybe they don't know that. Maybe our opponent is not aware. This is a really good rebuild. If this was Diabolic Edict, I'd be like so much happier right now. Alright, opponent tapping a butt ton of mana. This can only mean one very upsetting thing. Glade Cover Scout getting sacrificed away. Rancor back to hand. Opponent attacking for 10. Not respecting the haste creature. What do we find? Has to be a creature to be in it. Alright, it is a creature. So, start the slow rebuilding process. We have to hit some runner auras here to have any form of a chance, though. Opponent gets to attack for 10. Suffocating Fumes. Doesn't matter. Alright, we'll concede. So, round 2 of sideboarding here. Is there anything we want to change? I would kind of like an extra copy of Ancestral Mask, given how problematic Suffocating Fumes was, how problematic Gurmog Agla was. So I'm going to bring that one back in. The question is, what do we minus? Is it a Lotus Petal? Is it an Armadillo Cloak? Is it a mana source? I don't think it's a mana source. I guess a Lotus Petal is a mana source. We're going to minus out on Lotus Petal. We're going to submit. Fingers crossed we can get a good hand and get there. Okay, we can keep this. One problem with it, though. We only have 4 power and toughness. A little bit soft to counter magic as well, as far as tempo is concerned, but at least we have Edict Protection, which is strong. Opponent, mulligans to 6. Keeping a 6-card hand. Okay, we're off to the races. Let's get in there. Opponent, Dismal Backwater, starting that life again. Also, we should note last game, if we were to have made our land drops, we would have potentially have If we didn't skip our first turn, we would have potentially have won that match. So I have a choice between Bogle here or guaranteed cloak next turn. I guess we're guaranteed cloak either way. I think we just play for the cloak though. I guess we could Bogle, play the Ash Barrens hard, and then Armadillo cloak. Not sure if there's like an optimal right answer really. Alright, let's get Forest. I really hope we don't get punished on this and draw a white card. Alright, so instead of getting punished, we sort of get rewarded in a way. So go ahead and bait out that counterspell our opponent is likely holding. Alright, would you look at that? Counterspell, resolve Rancor, resolve Bogle, attack for 5. Alright, we put our opponent to 14. They untap turn 3, having to have some sort of a stabilizing response. Mental note. If they brick on land here, it would be really strong for us. Land, enters tapped, Misbolt Bridge. Okay, so Spell Pierce is what we have to... Spell Pierce, Force Spike, what we have to be concerned about trying to resolve this Armadillo Cloak. We draw Abundant Growth. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm throwing down. Opponent hard yielding the turn. We're attacking in for 8. Putting them all the way down to 6. Can they recover from this? Hopefully not. Opponent plays another Misbolt Bridge. Out tapped. 4 cards in the graveyard for delve effects. Only 2 instants and sorceries for any Thalarian Terrors. Opponent concedes the match. We take the 3-2. We take the victory. Not shabby at all. Okay, so that league recovered into a pretty decent spot considering it wasn't always super fantastic for us. Yeah, I'm still like a pretty firm believer in the main deck here. I think it's a pretty strong place to be with the Lotus Petals. I hope some other people are trying it out and I'm hoping you're seeing success with it. Either way, let me know how you're doing down in the comment section below. I'd love some data outside of my own playtesting. So at the beginning of the league, we did make a change to the sideboard, a couple of changes, removing a Flaring Pain and a Gut Shot to bring in 2 standard bearers. Naturally, the sideboard changes that we made had absolutely no impact this league. Fortunately, it didn't have a negative impact where we versed something like Elves and we really want the Gut Shot. So I guess we call that a little bit of a win. But the sideboard still seems relatively strong. I still think, I see a lot of lists running for Young Wolf. There are so many Edict effects out there. I think Young Wolf just has to be a 4-of. And if you're frequently running into the Ninja Fairy deck, given a lot of their fairies have 2 toughness, I think Scattershot Archer as a 4-of is pretty important if you're targeting on beating that matchup through sideboard hate. Simply because you want to resolve 2 of them and you want to just keep their board completely empty from that point forward. Other than that, Crimson Acolyte continues to be a fantastic card that I'm boarding in quite frequently. We didn't see much of a point of having it in there compared to Freewind Falcon, for example, as of this league. Freewind Falcon, being a flying creature, is dyssynergy with Scattershot Archer in like an Is It Fairies list, for example. Alright, so that's going to be it for me for this league. I'm happy to be taking the 3-2. It was potentially problematic against a couple of the decks there for a while, but we succeeded in the end. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing, commenting, or liking the video. And until next time, have a great day. I'll see you then.